Hello everybody, welcome to the Enders Realm for something I like to call Rants from the Realm. So this is going to be my mini-series where sometimes I'll find something that really pisses me off, and I feel like if it's to do with the gaming industry, I'll talk about it. And what really sparked me off today was the infamous First Light review by IGN. Now, if you guys don't know what IGN is, I'd be quite surprised, especially if you're on YouTube. IGN is the biggest reviewing industry next to GameSpot, so they're kind of a big deal. And they review games whenever, like, sometimes early access or often when they come out. But yeah, they reviewed infamous First Light today, alongside Dark Souls 2 Crown of the Old Iron King DLC for Dark Souls. But that's not what we're talking about today. So they gave infamous First Light, which is the first standalone addition to the infamous franchise, 7.5 out of 10, which I believe categorizes as good. Now, they have multiple pros and cons. Like, for one of the pros was that Fetch's story is good, and I can agree with them on that one. But what I can't seem to agree on is the fact that they believe that the game would be much better if it provided a lot more variety in Fetch's powers, which really got me pissed off. Now, if you don't know how Infamous works, it basically focuses around these people who are given superpowers and are given the choice to do as they please with it. Now, there's been a running trend with the DLC stuff, mainly Festival of Blood and First Light in particular, where the morality system seems to have gone completely off kilter. It's a one-off thing and it's quite a short story. I wouldn't expect it to play a massive role. Like, I can understand why it would make more sense in a longer game, but for something this short, like 5 hours, in terms of a story length, then it wouldn't really work. But my problem was the variety thing. Now, in previous iterations of Infamous, you have had a singular conduit who has a singular set of powers, and that was Cole McGrath, who had the power of electricity. Now, it's understandable that electricity doesn't really mix with anything, but you do have additional, like, utility powers such as ice and pyrokinesis, or napalm as it's called, which you unlock throughout the game as you're trying to get more and more powers. But there's that constant feeling of empowerment. Now, in the latest game, Second Son, you are given 4 power sets: concrete, smoke, neon, and video. Or digikinesis, whatever. I don't really care. But basically, you take the role, or that you take control of the reins of Fetch, one of the side characters in Second Son. And she's a drug hunter. Like, she has this resentment towards drug addicts, and it's explained in First Light why she became this vigilante of drug dealers. I don't know. And also how she evolved her powers, and it's noticeable just from starting to play as Fetch. She's noticeably more powerful than Delsin ever could have been, because Delsin got a touch of Fetch's powers. He's a sponge. He doesn't work like Cole. He actually has to grow his powers using blast cores and core relays, or blast shards and core relays. Fetch is the big deal. That explains why her powers are so much more emphasized. They seem a lot stronger. Like, everything has a little bit more power towards it. There's a lot more kick behind all of her abilities. And I think that the review states that there's not much variety, and the fact that he could check back and see that power was very similar. Well, I don't think they seem to understand that basically Delsin got a taster of the full force, and that her powers are going to be extremely similar to Delsin's because they are the same ability sets. I don't know why that's an incomprehensive sort of thing. Like, obviously, if you're going to share powers, like, for example, what was it? In Infamous 2, Nyx, one of the who represented the evil side of things, had an ability called Spikers, and throughout the course of the game, you unlocked the power of Spikers, alongside also her Firebird Strike. You got these powers that were similar to Nyx's. Obviously, you were taking some of her powers for yourself, and I don't seem to understand why that's an issue. Like, having powers which are similar. Obviously, fetches are much stronger. I don't really understand that. But what would I? Yeah, I don't know. It seems like a silly thing, and it seems to just focus on negative things while just sort of brushing over the positive aspects. And trust me, there are loads. I just can't think of them right now because, well, I've been playing Final Fantasy all day. But this game is it's a standalone game. It's about 5 hours long, and it's worth £15. I wouldn't expect it to have a massively coherent story. I mean, yeah, it's a prequel. Okay, that's kind of given that it's kind of allowed to sort of. And it's also expected that you've played Infamous Second Son. It's sort of the order of march is Second Son and then First Light. It sort of gives you an idea. It just gives a little bit more meat to the character, and it also talks. They also talk about in a review commentary they do later that Fetch seems a lot less insane after, after she finishes the the story in First Light finishes. Well, the whole focus is killing this guy. I don't know the main details, but she's out for this guy, and I'm assuming this is just coming from my sort of mindset, but there is a certain catharsis to killing someone you wanted dead. I think that would maybe calm her down just a little bit. I'm just saying, it's an odd concept, I know, but that's how murderers often work. I don't know, well, probably no one who ever watches my videos would have ever murdered anybody, but I'm pretty sure you'd feel quite relieved after offing someone who's been giving you a fuck ton of grief. Just saying, that's sort of a point. Basically, I feel that this review was a bit too harsh on something. I don't know if it's because they expect like Citizen Kane equivalent games from Sucker Punch and other people like Naughty Dog. I mean, masterpieces are Naughty Dog's foray. Like, The Last of Us is a cinematic. I don't even know. It's cinematic gold. Seriously, if you haven't played Last of Us, like, just try it on both consoles, PS4 or PS3. It's never going to come to Xbox, you whores. But yeah, I don't know if we expect too much from the industry. I mean, yeah, there's a certain quality standard, but I think as the bar's getting set higher and higher, reviewers feel like, oh, this is the best. Everything's got to be like this. It's setting a new standard, and I guess they just think that, oh, it doesn't really fit up, then it's shit. But I would disagree. I mean, yes, the 8th generation is still finding its feet. Go easy on it, guys. I mean, yeah, there's gonna be a couple of odd ones. I mean, Putty Squad completely slipped under the radar, but Cadicarus found it. Thank you, Caddy. But yeah, 8th generation still finding its feet. Don't be so hard on First Light just because it's a standalone game and it's just a part to a bigger whole. I have nothing else to say on this. Thanks very much for listening. See you guys.